Men march in Pretoria today once again throw sharp focus on the fight against gender-based violence in the country and why it's critical now for men to be a part of alleviating the scourge of violence against women and children. Mphiwa Mangwiro is the regional campaign and advocacy specialist at Sonke Gender Justice, a gender and human rights organization based right here in Johannesburg. She joins us in studio now. Good afternoon, Mphiwa, and thank you for your time on the SABC News Desk.
Afternoon, and thank you for inviting me to come through.
Mphiwa, patriarchy and poverty proving to be a deadly combination for so many women in our country. Just tell us about the interplay between these two and why it's proving so treacherous.
Yes, certainly you're right. Patriarchy and poverty are a very deadly combination. Both of them are structural forms of violence that continue to oppress women. Patriarchy in its nature is domineering. It's subjugating women to the control of man. It seeks to control women's agency. It takes over women's agency and women's right and ability to make decisions, to make choices, to be able to do things for themselves. And when you see that poverty in its nature is also limiting, it's limited resources, it's lack, and it also brings with its kind also various forms of oppression for women. And I think when you marry these two, you find that in many instances, when women are suffering poverty or going through poverty, they then have limited choices. So you find that in instances where they have men in their lives who are domineering, who are controlling, they become dependent. And because of that nature of dependence, it makes it difficult for women to also be able to exercise their own agency, to be able to make their own decisions. It actually compels women to continue to be under the rule and control of men. And even when women are in abusive relationships, many times you hear women saying that it's difficult for me to walk away because we have children. Who's going to take away?
Due to financial constraints.
Yes, or due to financial constraints. It comes to financial constraints to say, I have financial constraints which make it difficult for me to walk away from this situation. I am dependent on this person. And men also tend to take advantage in such situations of that position of power because it's a position of patriarchy, is a position of power.
Mphiwa, we had the 100-man march in Pretoria this morning. Now, we do know that involving men is crucial in the struggle against gender-based violence, which has become so pervasive within South African society. But you work with this kind of thing every day. How difficult is it to leverage that support or involve men in these type of campaigns and secure that support? How willing are they to come forward at this point?
I think I would say that it's generally difficult because, like we are saying, that patriarchy in its nature is domineering, and often when you want to engage men to also speak out against violence against women or to also take a stand against gender inequality, there is a tendency to assume that that is to say, or that is to seek to take away men's power and men's authority and privilege. So there tends to be a resistance in that way. However, we have been able to engage in certain programs that are enabling us to be able to engage with men despite the challenges that generally come with the issues and the turf.
And what have you found with this engagement when it comes to males, especially those who are perpetrators of domestic violence and crimes against women and children? What do you attribute this to? Because we do see more and more men coming forward for help. How are you getting it right in some cases?
How we are getting it right is because when we engage men first not just to respond to the violence, but also from a preventative perspective, where we then say, let us address social and gender norms that are or that continue to perpetuate violence against women. So we engage with men, we go to taverns where you normally find men and where there's normally a space where they're supposed to be drinking, and we have conversations with them there around the issues of gender transformation. We also have soccer tournaments where men play soccer, and then afterwards we create an opportunity to engage with them on these issues. And we also have our community action teams that are working on the ground in communities. So you find that the more you engage with men and the more you begin to address issues of gender norms transformation, and you begin to package it in such a way that men do not feel like they are power is being taken away from them, but actually it's an issue which is advancing gender equality, which is to the benefit of everyone.
Mphiwe, does it go right back to the home and to school level perhaps in how we socialize our boy and even our girl children when it comes to correcting gender-based or gender-distorted values?
Yes, the way we raise our children is very crucial and very important. It goes back right to the home, the way the gender norms that are ingrained in the boy or the gender norms that are ingrained in the girl, because from then they grow up with those perceptions, and that's how it plays out in future, where a man thinks they have to play particular roles and a woman has to play particular roles. But when we then start to engage with those issues, we take it there right to the way where how children are raised in the home, to challenge some of those norms, to challenge even concepts of masculinity that become toxic and end up perpetuating the violence that we continue to see in the country.
Mphiwe, thank you for your time on the SABC News Desk and for sharing those invaluable insights with us. That's Mphiwe Mangwiro. She's the Regional Campaign and Advocacy Specialist at Sonke Gender Justice, based right here in Johannesburg.